Cathie Wood has made some significant trades recently, with one of the most notable being the purchase of more AMD shares. Love it or hate it, we're here to cover it, so let's get started. Welcome back, guys. Today we are talking about something I know our viewers will have strong opinions on from each side. So go ahead, don't be afraid to comment down below. We do want to hear from you. So let's just get into it. Cathie Wood has made some significant trades recently, with one of the most notable being the purchase of AMD. Chris, Thomas, what do you think are the key reasons behind Cathie Wood's decision to invest in AMD stock? I want to talk about that. And what has been the market's reaction to this? Have we seen any immediate impacts on AMD's stock price at all?
Well, let me start with the first question you asked, and that is, Cathie Wood has been investing in AMD for a while, so I'm not necessarily sure if this is a new position for her. I don't think it is. No. And to your second point, AMD shot up Friday right before the close, but so did a lot of stocks. I don't know if that was the algorithms having a field day at the end of the day, but since then they've been kind of muddling around, so it hasn't seemed to do much for the stock this week.
Yeah, right. Like Chris said, Cathie's been investing in AMD since about 2018, I think. She's bought it, she sold it, she's bought it, she sold it. This latest purchase is probably because the stock is down. But I think she's investing in AMD because it is a potential disruptor. She focuses on disruptor. She's a swing for the fences kind of investor. AMD isn't the largest in any of its end markets, but it's a very good player in all those markets. It's definitely got an opportunity to take some market share in AI and to be disruptive in that regard. I mean, we look at the release this past weekend, they just announced like the next 3 steps in their AI progression. So we know that they're working hard to keep up with NVIDIA, and the competition between those two companies is going to result in some serious advances in technology.
Yeah, so you mentioned it. I want to talk about that. Cathie Wood's investment style. It's an important thing to cover here, but people love it or they hate it. How do you think that Cathie Wood views the current state and the future potential of the semiconductor industry? I mean, particularly in relation to AMD here. I mean, as you said, she does have a disruptive innovation investment strategy. She's known for high risk, high reward investment style. So clearly she has her eye on something here with AMD. What do you think others might be missing? How does this AMD investment fit within that context? Want to keep your finger on the pulse of the market? Text the word YouTube to 68285. That's 68285, and get free breaking news alerts from MarketBeat for the stocks that matter most to you. Don't miss out on crucial updates. Stay informed and stay ahead.
Well, I think that Cathie Wood, whenever I've heard her speak over the past year, she's very bullish on AI. I don't know if she's bullish on semiconductors per se, other than to say they are the place to be right now. They're the tip of the spear as far as where AI is going, because they're the picks and the shovels that you're going to need to get AI up and running. So she's very bullish on AI. And I think right now she sees AMD as being a disruptive play in the growth of AI, but perhaps not in terms of saying the data center market, which NVIDIA has covered very well right now.
Yeah, right. Like I was saying before, AMD isn't really the largest player in any of its end markets, but it is a critical player in data centers, in AI, in PCs, and IoT. And what I see in AMD is it bridges the gap between the data centers and the large language model, the cloud, and the generative AI that's being built out right now, and AI at the edge, where it exists in our devices, our computers, and the IoT. And that really is the future of where most of the growth in AI will be. Because right now, I mean, with the models in the cloud, we're all kind of connecting to those models and using them, but AI will really blossom when it's at our fingertips, when it's in our devices, and that's what I think the AMD play is really focused on.
Right.
Okay, now how does this move affect investor sentiment towards AMD? Does it do it that at all? I mean, again, there are two very strong sides to this, as we know, but do you think Cathie Wood's investment boosts confidence at all?
I think that depends a little bit on how you feel about Cathie Wood. But the thing is, Cathie Wood is, I would say she's a long investor, but she's not a buy and hold.
No.
She's, as Thomas has said, she's been in and out of AMD. She's been in and out, probably not fully, but she's been in and out of stocks like Tesla, like Palantir. So she's not afraid to sell. But when she's buying, it generally means she's buying for a reason. And
Right.
I think that's the thing that investors have to try to be keying on is what's the reason why she might be why she might be buying AMD right now. And I think that might be because she's seeing that there's going to be a refresh cycle in CPUs and GPUs, and that's where AMD really can get market share, or they have market share right now, and they can hold that market share advantage over a company like NVIDIA.
Thomas,
Yeah,
why
right.
do
I
you
see.
think she's buying right now?
What I think she's buying. Well, first I want to say I think that Cathie Wood's buying AMD is more of a newsworthy event than a market moving event, right?
I think,
Like we've
yeah.
said, she's an aggressive trader. She's active. She's not afraid to take a loss. You know, she gets into a position and if it's losing, she'll get out of it as quick as she can. But at the same time, she's got this long-term view. So putting those two things together with AMD, she's targeted AMD for this long-term opportunity. The stock goes up, the stock goes down. She's going to try to buy in when she can. She's going to cut losses when she can. When the stock moves lower, she's going to try to get in and build that position and try to get the best base position she can for this long-term opportunity that will produce value over time, I think.
Let's take a quick look at AMD versus the competitors. Thomas, I think you touched on this briefly, but how does AMD compare to, let's say, Intel and NVIDIA, as you mentioned, looking at in terms of technology and market share here?
Well, like, so specifically with data centers and market share and AI, AMD was kind of late to the game, but that's, you know, it's understandable because NVIDIA really created the game. So AMD is kind of coming back on board, but it's proving to be a pretty solid competitor. It's right there neck and neck. It's just a matter of time before it is able to gain share in the AI and the data center market sphere.
All right, long-term outlook here. What is a long-term outlook for AMD? Do you think it will continue to be a strong performer in the tech sector?
Oh, absolutely.
I agree with Thomas. I think there's no question. It's going to be around. You're looking at a solid company, great CEO. They tend to be that company that under promises and over delivers, which Wall Street loves. That it's a good stock to be in for the long term.
Right. I think that the biggest the headwind right now for AMD is that they were a little bit slow to the game.
Yeah.
I would say that their hardware is on par and in some ways better than NVIDIA. They both have their advantages.
Sure.
NVIDIA's advantage is that they started it sooner. They leaned into the full stack approach from the beginning. They've always been building out their operating system, which is really what's helping the data centers and the companies today launch their AI models. So AMD is catching up with that, and I would expect to see them start making some even bigger strides over the next year.
All right, guys, we've talked the talk of Cathie Wood and AMD today. So now I want to know, do you agree, yes or no, with her decision to buy AMD stock? Why or why not? I do want to hear from our viewers as well, so don't forget to leave your comments down below. Chris, let's hear it. Is there anything else you want to add?
I will say, yes, I agree with Cathie Wood's decision to buy AMD, and I'll look at it like this. If you're looking at this as a NVIDIA versus the field over the next 10 years, almost anytime you give me a bet that says somebody versus the field, I'm going to take the field, and AMD is one of the leaders in that field. That's not disparaging NVIDIA in the slightest. It's just, if I'm going to say NVIDIA's already had this majestic growth over the last year, it's probably going to do majestic growth for this year. But if I'm looking at it as a long-term opportunity, even if I'm looking at a trade that I'm only going to hold the stock maybe for 2 or 3 years, I'm going to look at the field, and AMD is one of the stocks I'm going to look at in that field.
Looking for the golden ticket in 2024's unpredictable market? Thomas Hughes brings you the 10 best stocks to own in 2024. In a year where market corrections loom and sideways movement is expected, smart investments are key. Are you ready to outperform the market? Dive into the sectors and stocks primed for success. Don't wait, start making informed decisions today and your portfolio will thank you. Download the free report now.
I like AMD for all the reasons I've said. I would be on board with Ms. Wood's decision to buy AMD. for all those reasons. And another one, and that is because the legacy end markets are also normalizing. The inventory reset for the semiconductor market has had a big impact on the legacy market for the last 2 years. That market is normalizing and is returning to growth, compounded by the data center and AI growth, which I see as a dual tailwind for this company over the next 2 to 5 years.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you everyone for tuning in for this hot topic today. Don't forget to catch us back here at Market Beat for more. And of course, if there's a stock or topic you want us to dive into, let us know and we'll get on that. Until next time, don't forget to check out all of the investing resources we have for you on marketbeat.com. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.